So, these are the Carnac megaliths. We talk about Carnac, but in fact it's a whole area of France, of southern Brittany. Now, is this going to move? Yes, it is. Just to situate what we're talking about on the map, which I'll be doing all the time, the area we're going to be looking at is here. It's the southern, it's called Le Morbihan, which means the Little Sea. It's in southern Brittany. Here's a bigger picture of it. And the Carnac alignments are these, but we'll be looking also at the Erdeven alignments, the Saint Barbe alignments in Plouharnel, the Saint Pierre-Quiberon alignments, the Gavrenis chambered temple instead of tomb, and the Grand Menhir Brisé, which maybe some of you have heard about, which is the largest standing stone ever erected, which was over 20 meters high. First of all, then, we're going to look at Carnac and the different alignments. So first of all, I'll present the monuments, and then we'll try and understand maybe what they're about. First of all, in Carnac, there are supposedly 3 series of alignments, which are end-to-end and go over 4 kilometers long. The first one's called Le Menec, which you can see on an aerial view here. It starts here. There's a cromlech, or stone circle, well, it's not a circle, a stone egg, which it goes round the village here, and then these alignments go off in a certain direction, and then they change direction about halfway up. So if you look at these stones, there are quite a lot of them. In the Carnac alignments, there are 3,000 standing stones today. Another interesting feature is that this is bedrock, and these standing stones are put up on virtually no soil. All right, so some of them, you can actually see them balanced on the bedrock. I won't be able to talk about the geological side of things in this talk because I've had to choose what I'm going to talk about. But if you do come to Plouharnel in the month of June, I'll be explaining as well the geological part of this monument, which is very interesting as well. This is the part of the cromlech which goes around the village. It's the cromlech, the Menec egg. The stones are touching each other, and it goes all the way around this village. In fact, goes through a house on the left here. Some of the stones are recumbent and were most probably like that from the word go. Some very big stones. This stone is particularly, where is it? This stone is particularly important, these recumbent stones, because they position things. They're sort of central points. There are the alignments. The alignments are very often on a plateau, and then they go downhill. So that's another thing we find. They go through water and ice, up and downhill. Now here's the Cair Mario. So these are a bit further along. When you get to the end of the Le Menec alignments we've just seen, you do about 460 meters. And then you come to the beginning of these alignments. You have a dolmen here. This is the head of the alignments. And these alignments go up through this lake. There are standing stones at the bottom of the lake. And they end around here. Well, the fencing, I mean, you may know that Carnac alignments were fenced off about 20 years ago. And the fencing ends here, but the alignments, in fact, continue in the woods. Right. So these are the Cair Mario alignments, as you can see. I don't know how many of you have already visited this site, but it's really quite impressive. This is the Cair Mario dolmen. I was doing a survey. You saw the first picture at the beginning where I was with a theodolite on the recumbent stone. I'd like to thank Robin Heath, who got me back into theodolite work 2 years ago when he came to Plouharnel, and which enabled me really to put precision on the work I've been doing. High precision. Now, if you want information about the megaliths there, just put your head in this hole here and download. Right? This is a very big stone, as you can see, and you've just got the space to put your head in it. There are a couple of stones like that, so if anybody's into that kind of thing. But you can see the size of them. There's another one. This is a very old stone. It's at the other end of the Kermario alignments. It's an important one. It's called Le Manio, and it was built maybe 5000 BC. It's sort of halfway between the Neolithic and the Mesolithic area. And it has 5 snakes engraved at its bottom. There's a little hole here. You can go in and see them. You can go underground here. And in front of those 5 snakes, there were 5 axe heads planted in the ground, Neolithic axe heads, which came from the Alps. That's the other end of the alignments, which continue through the field. Then after that, you go a bit further, and you come to the Kerliscan, Le Petit Menec alignments. These go east-west. I'll come to that. You have a square quadrilateral here. And they go off then, they go across this road which separates Carnac from the neighbouring town of La Trinité. So they're all fenced off here, but once you get into La Trinité, you can go and see them. And they're in the woods. They're no longer in Carnac. So let's have a look at some of those. That's sunrise at winter solstice. This is the plateau, and then the stones go down the hill. Here they are. You can see how many, another series of alignments here. And this is the Petit Menec part, where they're going off through the woods and the swamp and whatever. In Carnac, there's also a very well-known tumulus called the Tumulus Saint-Michel. It's made with 67,000 tons of stone, plus quite a lot of slime, which was dragged out of the bay. And it's about a 2-meter thick couche layer, thank you, of slime, which has been put all around it. And which has made it waterproof inside. It's an incredible monument, 120 meters long by 50 meters large, and it's got a chapel on it. The first chapel was built in the 16th century, and this one, it burnt, and this one was rebuilt about 1920. But it's something you can see from all over. I mean, there must have been a standing stone here. Well, there still is a standing stone on it, which has been made into a sort of cross at the other end. But this chapel is a very interesting thing when you're trying to work things out. It's very visible from a long way around, as we'll see. And this is another tumulus, which carries on my rainbow, and which is it's called Kercado. It's considered to be the most ancient tumulus. It's dated at 5,800 BC, although the dating just seems to be going back as new dating is done. Recent dating was done on standing stones at 6,000 BC, or BCE, whatever, 8,000 years ago. So we're talking about a long time ago. So there are many of these massive mounds and tumuli in the area. Now let's have a look at some other sites. We've got the Erdeven alignments, the Saint Barbe alignments, and the Saint Pierre Quiberon alignments, which are on a sort of north-south axis. You have to be aware that the sea has come in. It's gone up by about 7 to 10 meters since the Neolithic era, and the average depth of this bay is 7 meters. Recent research has discovered alignments going from here to here underwater, using sonar and stuff on the bottom. Now, it's a very interesting research which has to be continued. So the first of the Erdeven alignments, this is a fuzzy picture. The road goes straight through them, as you can see. It was built in the 19th century, and unfortunately in the 19th century in this area they didn't give a damn about megaliths. Well, they used them for building houses. They were quarries, basically, these alignments, for around 60 years or so, sort of every day, people coming in and taking the stones away. In 1892, a French archaeologist called Félix Gaillard saw that there were, at this particular site, 1,000 standing stones and 5,000 stones on the ground, which makes a total of 6,000 stones, which is twice as many as the whole of the Carnac alignments.